Hello friends, Coast Chris here. Thanks for stopping by the channel. If you're new to the channel and new to the community, welcome. It's great to have you. And what we do here is Coasty is a community of outdoor enthusiasts that help each other enjoy the outdoors more and live a more satisfying life through reviewing your mindset, your gear, and apparel. So what I'd like to talk to you tonight is about binoculars. Now I have next to me just an example of some binoculars that I have that I'm very fortunate to have. They're my grandfather's. They're Carl Wetzlar marine coated binoculars. They're super cool. I love them. They just feel great in the hand. It makes me feel like a commando when I put them on the table next to me. Next to, by the way, my Coasty mug here. If you want to help support the channel, take a look at the link below and get some merchandise with some Coasty logoed stuff on it. Really appreciate it. With all that out of the way, binoculars are a fantastic way to enjoy the outdoors, and they bring, distant things closer to you. Now there's folks, I use binoculars professionally in the Coast Guard, and so that's a whole nother level of binocular, effectiveness that you need. But most people just, every now and then may have a use for binoculars if they're hunting or bird watching, or if they're out on the water and they're recreational boating. And it's important to get the right binocular for what you're doing. There are, like this one, it's a marine binocular. Nowadays, marine binoculars have little gyroscopes in them, and it helps right the motion of the waves so that when you look through your binoculars, it's steady. It's really cool. If you ever have a chance to look through some marine binoculars and start moving, it's really cool how still they are. You want to get the right ones with the right amount of distance and magnification. You don't want to look through your scope. If you're not a hunter, or if you haven't been hunting in a while, it's always good to remember that if you want to see something, you don't look through your scope of your rifle, because you're pointing your rifle at something that you don't necessarily want to destroy. So it's always good when you're hunting to have some binoculars. But I digress. Now, when it comes to binoculars, there's 5 different categories in my experience, and you want to make sure that you get the right kind of binocular, the right brand that's good at making binoculars in your category of price range. So you can absolutely get some Swarovskis that are, $150, but that's not what Swarovski's good at making. They're good at making high-end binoculars. Like a lot of people know vehicles, so you don't want to go and get a Corvette that's 10 grand. That's not going to give you the Corvette experience. That's not what Corvette's good at making. You want to get a Toyota that's 10 grand. And so these are my categories for binocular price ranges. Bushnell makes great binoculars that are 150 or less. Nikon is going to be between that $150 to $500 range. And this category here is pretty much where everyone really needs to be. Now, of course, these brands make, decent ones at a lower price range, but you really don't want to get, a Bushnell that's, say, 2 grand. If you're going to spend 2 grand, go ahead and get a Vortex, get a Swarovski, get some of those really high-end brands that are good at making good binoculars. So Leupold makes some great, mid to upper range price binoculars, and then of course Vortex. Vortex makes binoculars across the whole spectrum. They're actually up here in Wisconsin, not far from me, but they're really good, and especially for hunting. That's who they really focus on. Nikon has some really good marine, steadying gyroscope binoculars, and then Swarovski has just all around amazing binoculars. If you want to see things in different colors and have all the options to focus in and everything, then that's where you want to go. You want to go for that high end. But really, you don't need something that fancy unless you're, say, a professional hunter or the government bought it for you and you're on, a Coast Guard cutter. So these are my 5 categories. It's 0 to 150 is a price range where you're going to find 90% of binoculars, and then it's 150 to 500, where you're going to find maybe some of those same brands, but just their higher end version of their entry binocular. And then you get into some of those premium binoculars where you hit Vortex and Leopold. And you really, if you're gonna buy a Vortex, don't buy, you know, their $50 entry-level one. Buy the Bushnell $50 entry-level one, because that's what they're good at making, as well as Nikon. Anyway, I think I've hammered that point. So how much magnification do you want? So this one here is a 7x50, and so it says even here 372 feet at 1,000 yards. So that's really, you know, that's a pretty good range. You know, 7 to 50, you're not gonna need anything much more than that. And yeah, and then you'll be right as rain. Of course, so these marine binoculars are gonna be a little bit bigger. You're gonna see this this shape is really gonna give you some of those higher end maximum range, but it's not something that is gonna be really good for, say, hunting, or where you have to be a little bit more mobile. A lot of hunters, they have a really cool chest rig where you can, you know, put your binoculars in there, and you're not gonna wanna do this. Now this has, you know, a great sling. It's old school, it's classic. Oh, I love it. I love this look, I love the feel, how it feels in my hand, just looks and feels great. But I don't want to be trucking through the woods with this. It's going to get caught on everything. So definitely make sure you get the right style. You can find some that really fold up nice and compact. Leopold especially has some nice, really compact ones. Still, they're, you know, going to be in that $1,000 price range for a Leopold, good one. But don't be scared to get, you know, a small set of binoculars that, you know, might be fantastic quality. Even though they're small. Just because it's big, you know, doesn't mean that it's better. Well, you know, for what that's worth. But absolutely make sure to get some of the brands discussed here and make sure that they work for you. So if you do have any comments about, you know, what kind of magnification you think that you want for your specific purpose, leave them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to discuss that with you. Again, this is a community. I want to open that dialogue. And yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. And I hope you have a great night. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Coast to Chris out.